Summary of the Farming of Bones by Edwidge Danticat. Amabelle Desir is a poor Haitian girl who lives in the Dominican Republic. She is in love with Sebastian Onius, who works in the sugarcane fields. Amabelle wakes up one morning to the screams of her boss, Señora Valencia, who is going into early labor. Amabelle runs to help, and the Señora's father, Don Ignacio, calls for Dr. Javier, a doctor in their neighborhood. Amabelle helps the Señora give birth to a boy and a girl. The girl, Rosalinda, has darker skin, and Señora Valencia says that she could be mistaken for one of Amabelle's people. After the birth, Dr. Javier comes. Amabelle tells the doctor that both of her parents were healers. When the doctor hears this, he pushes Amabelle to go back to Haiti and work as a nurse. Soon after, Juana, a housemaid, comes back and hears about the new babies. She is moved to tears and tells how Señora Valencia's mother died while giving birth. Juana then says that she wanted to have her own children but couldn't keep a pregnancy going. Later that night, the Señora's husband, Ser Pico, comes home. He names his son Rafael after the Generalissimo, the leader of the Dominican Republic. Amabelle overhears Juana and her husband, Luis, talking. Luis tells Amabelle that when Ser Pico heard about the delivery, he sped home in his car and hit a person because he didn't care. The man was pushed into a ditch and died there. Amabelle thinks the person walking by is Sebastian. Don Ignacio, who was in the car, tells her to let him know the victim's name when she finds out what it is. Amabelle waits nervously as the day ends because she doesn't know if Sebastian was in the car crash. She thinks about Henri's castle, a site near where she grew up in Haiti, to calm her nerves. Then, Sebastian goes to Amabelle's house. He is hurt and says he needs to help Congo bury his son Joel, who was killed in the car crash by Ser Pico. When Sebastian leaves, Amabelle has a bad dream about how her parents died. When she was young, they drowned in the Dajabon River, which is also called the Massacre River. Sebastian comes back and tries to make her feel better. He says that the Haitians who live in the Dominican Republic are wayfarers. At dawn, Amabelle goes to the stream behind a nearby cane mill to talk to Sebastian's sister, Mimi. Many people in the Haitian community want justice or payback for the death of Congo's son, so Amabelle and Mimi talk about what he might do next. Then, Amabelle goes to the homes of other Haitians in the neighborhood. These friends have successful businesses, but they are not as rich as the rich Haitians. Amabelle hears a lot of people talking about being sent back to Haiti, because no one has birth papers that show who they are. Amabelle goes back to work and makes tea for Beatriz and Don Ignacio. She overhears them talking, and Don Ignacio tells her about his past. He talks about how he ran away from bloody battles and how he acted in war. He also says that he doesn't like how things are done in his new country and that he doesn't trust people who worship uniforms. After that, Amabelle runs into Dr. Javier, who asks her if she's thought about his offer to go back to Haiti. Before she can answer, Juana calls her away. She then stops Don Ignacio and tells him that Joel has died. She then goes back inside to help Señora Valencia with the kids. When the two women go to check on the Señora's son Rafael, they find that he is no longer breathing and has died. After that, a party at a neighbor's house turns into Rafael's unofficial wake, and the people there cry over the loss of the family. As the party ends, Señora Valencia asks her husband to bury their son's clothes, and then she goes to find Juana to hear stories about Doa Rosalinda. After the wake, Amabelle goes to see Congo and tells him that Don Ignacio wants to talk to him. Congo doesn't want to meet with Don Ignacio, so he asks Amabelle to tell him that Joel was a man. The next morning, Ser Pico and Señora Valencia get their son's body ready for burial, and Ser Pico drives it away. When people who know Amabelle stop by the Señora's house, the Señora asks them in for coffee. There are rumors that groups of Haitians are being killed at night, so many of them are wary. Congo, however, takes the offer and goes up to the house to express his sorrow and talk about his son Joel. After some time has passed, Rosalinda is baptized. Congo finds Amabelle after the party and gives her a mask of Joel's face as a way to remember him. Congo also says that Sebastian has asked her to promise herself to him, and that he is following old traditions by sending Congo instead of his parents. Amabelle wants to see Sebastian right away, but a watchman brigade of her neighbors tells her not to travel at night. One of the watchmen repeats the reports that Haitians are being targeted or killed. Amabelle comes to Sebastian's room, and the two of them fall asleep while Sebastian's friend Yves mutters in his sleep. Amabelle goes back to Señora Valencia's house the next morning. Dr. Javier comes and tells Amabelle that she needs to leave right away because soldiers and civilians are killing Haitians. Amabelle runs to Sebastian because she is scared. They talk about whether they should join a group that will cross into Haiti. Sebastian tells them to talk to Congo, and Congo tells them that he has met Don Ignacio and talked to him. Congo then gives Sebastian and Amabelle a blessing. Sebastian and Amabelle decide to go back to Haiti. Amabelle goes back to Señora Valencia's house, where the Señora is waiting eagerly for her father to come home. When the people in the house hear military trucks, they go outside and see Sayer Pico fighting a group of Haitian men with soldiers. These Haitian men were part of the watchman company that told Amabelle not to travel at night. As more people show up, the troops tell the group to put down their machetes and get into the trucks, because they will be taken to the border. Then, Dr. Javier's mother walks in and wants to talk to Sayer Pico about why her son was arrested. Sayer Pico ignores her. The troops drive their truck into the brigade and attack any onlookers who try to run away. Amabelle runs to the church where she thought other people who had escaped would be, but it is empty. She goes through the cane fields to see Congo and hears that Mimi, Sebastian, and Dr. Javier have all been arrested. Congo tells her that the troops will take the prisoners to a prison near Dajabon, so this is where Amabelle goes. She tells Yves about her plans before she leaves, and he agrees to go with her. Amabelle and Yves run away together and spend the night on a road up a mountain. They meet Odette and Wilner, who are also refugees, Tybin, who was told by Dominican forces to jump off a cliff or die, and two Dominican sisters, Dolores and Doloritas. Amabelle and Yves join this group, and they all keep going through the hills together. Wilner and the other Haitians tell Dolores and Doloritas to leave the group because they are from the Dominican Republic and are less likely to be attacked or mistreated. When the group finally gets to Dajabon's main area, Wilner and Odette leave to check out the river. The tourists figure out that Trujillo is in the church nearby. They don't want to draw attention to themselves, so they move into a bush. But soon, young guys come up to them. The men start making fun of the group, and when Tybin fights back, he dies. The men then ask Yves and Amabelle, "Que diga perejil," which is Spanish for "how do you say parsley?" Since they are Haitian, the young guys think they will say the word wrong. Then, Yves and Amabelle are hit and given parsley against their will. Odette and Wilner come back and take Yves and Amabelle to a safe house because they are hurt. Soldiers are in the area, so the four tourists run to the river to get away. They start to cross, but soldiers see Wilner and shoot him. This makes Odette, who is already in the water, fear. Amabelle, who is swimming next to Odette, puts her hand over her mouth to make her slow down. When Odette tries to move, Amabelle accidentally suffocates her. Amabelle and Yves avoid being caught and are found the next morning by a priest and a young doctor, who take them to tents set up for the injured. Amabelle has a fever that comes and goes. While she is sick, she hears people talking about what they went through during the violence. She eventually finds Yves. He tells her he's going back to his land in Haiti, and she says she'll go with him. The next day, they are taken to a port city in Haiti called the Cap, where Yves meets his mother, Man Rapidu. Man Rapidu tells the story of how Yves' father died. After getting out of jail, he was eating a plate of food when he choked to death. As time goes on, Amabelle keeps getting better from her injuries. She finds out about Sebastian's mother, Man Denise. She also tries to get to know Yves by asking him about farming, since he works in the fields every day. Yves tells Amabelle that in the Dominican Republic, a justice of the peace is taking down the stories of Haitians who lived through the violence. The next day, Amabelle joins the crowd of people trying to get the attention of the judge. There, she sees Man Denise. People leave the crowd to go to Man Denise's house, and Amabelle spends the night with her. She talks to Man Denise in the morning, and he tells her why Mimi and Sebastian left France for the Dominican Republic. Man Denise says that people have told her that both of her children died in the fighting. Amabelle goes home and spends the rest of the day in tears. Later that night, Yves tells Javier that he saw soldiers put Mimi, Sebastian, and Dr. Javier into a truck. Amabelle still hopes that Sebastian is living, but she wishes that everything was always the same in her life. She gets older as the years go by. On the day Rafael Trujillo dies, Amabelle joins the town's celebrations and sees that her life has become a routine of sewing and sleeping. Amabelle goes down to the river one day and asks to be brought back into the Dominican Republic so she can go to Ciora Valencia's town, which is called Alegria. When Amabelle gets there, she talks to Ciora Valencia, who at first doesn't know who she is. The Ciora talks about the changes in her home and family. Juana and Luis have left, Rosalinda got married young, and she tells Amabelle that she hid many of her people during the killing. One of the Ciora's housekeepers joins them and asks why Dominican troops would ask Haitians how to say parsley. Ciora Valencia tells a story about Trujillo, who once tried to kill a Haitian worker who was running through the fields to get away from him. Trujillo told the worker that he wouldn't hurt him if he told him where he was. The worker called out the names of the crops in the fields, but the word for parsley was said wrong. Trujillo understood that Haitians couldn't hide as long as there was parsley around. Amabelle says goodbye to Ciora Valencia and goes home. She is dropped off by the massacre water, and as she thinks about all the violence and death she has seen, she steps into the water. She floats and paddles in the current, and she starts to feel hopeful and excited about her future. She tells herself that she is looking for the dawn.
About the author. Edwidge Danticat was born in Haiti in 1969. 2 years later, her father, André, moved to the United States. 2 years later, Danticat's mother, Rose, moved to the US to be with André. She left Danticat and her brother in the care of an aunt and uncle. In 1981, Danticat moved with her family to Brooklyn, New York, where most of the people around her were Haitian American. Danticat had trouble getting used to a new country, and she used writing to show how lost, unhappy, and alone she felt. The stories she wrote when she was young were in the New York-based magazine New Youth Connections. Danticat wanted to be a nurse, but she went to Barnard College instead and got a bachelor's degree in French literature instead. She then went to Brown University and got a Master of Fine Arts. Her master's thesis became the basis for her book Breath, Eyes, Memory, which became well known after Oprah chose it for her book club. A year later, Danticat put out a book of short stories called Crick? Croc. It was one of the books that were up for the National Book Award. In 1998, she wrote her second book, The Farming of Bones. In 2004, she wrote her third book, The Dew Breaker. Brother, I'm Dying, her autobiography, came out in 2007. It was up for the National Book Award and got the National Book Critics Circle Award.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.